Well, good evening, class. Together with Brittany Allgood, Doretha Hoke, Nathan Wade, uh, Dele Ohome, and myself, Ty Roseborough, we will be talking through the Daily Grommet, fast-paced startup, a novel market maker that originally sought to connect customers looking to purchase unique products from geographically local artisans who do not have the operation apparatus to deliver the merchandise on a global scale. At the conclusion of the project, we will be making recommendations to the company's current operating structure to include, but not limited to, departments that will allow the company to efficiently and effectively focus on scouting ideas, evaluating ideas, and planning and executing events more efficiently, as well as making recommendations to the company's inventor product selection process to include but not limited to improvements that will enable a more efficient process for scouting ideas. And then lastly, making recommendations to the company's supply chain and marketing strategies to include but not limited to the identification of additional third-party logistic partners, social media platforms to improve current supply chain and marketing strategies. Very important to note, we will not be making any recommendations on leadership changes as our group has not had an opportunity nor access to any of the respective leaders within the organization to gauge their overall effectiveness. The group starting off thought it was very important to complete a SWOT analysis on the grommet before we went into making our recommendations. As far as strengths are concerned, we felt the organization had a great story, amazing goodwill with their value mission of citizen commerce. Some of their weaknesses included time-consuming product identification process, role scope was too large, lack of planning and or scheduling. From an opportunity standpoint, we felt that the grommet could improve their product selection process. They needed to eliminate some of the role ambiguity and create departments for improved role and responsibility understanding, as well as improved operation and supply chain apparatus. At the end of the day, the group identified one threat that competitors currently have a quicker turnaround time, which we will seek to solve for the grommet. From a strategy and execution standpoint, we feel that the company should focus on demand planning. This will allow them to determine how much of each product to produce, the necessary inventory levels needed to meet our sales targets, as well as the capacity needed of resources and or the partners needed to achieve the production and or sales targets. Lastly, it will allow the company to identify the required working capital needed to meet the production and sales targets. As far as the demand planning is concerned, we felt that the grommet should institute two forecasting methods. First of which, quantitative forecasting to include time series analysis. There we will be looking at the trends. We will identify seasonal variations, cyclical variations, as well as random variations. And we will primarily be focusing on the moving averages process. From a qualitative forecasting standpoint, we will be employing the life cycle analysis. And through that, we will be issuing email surveys to our customers to determine how products are performing out there after new launches, as well as leveraging our managers' experience so that they can weigh in on which products we need to use or move forward with on a larger scale. At the end of the day, both forecasting methods will allow us to more effectively determine what inventory and products are high performing so that we can continue to drive sales within the organization.
In analyzing the case, we discovered that pre to 2013, the organizational structure was set into three specific functional areas, which is discovery, evaluation, deal launch, and partner support. And then during that time, they were known as the Citizen Commerce. So with that organization, it required a lot of time, which we will discuss in a later slide. Post 2013, they changed their name to the Grommet, and that is when they developed the new structure, which is the Tech, Home, and Apparel. And within that new sector, they had different pods, and within each pod of those, there were two people or a team between 2 to 4 that were responsible for handling all of the aspects within that realm. We felt after reviewing that they needed to create additional departments within the company in order to facilitate it and make it a lot better. With that, it came with the merchandising department, which is responsible for the selection process and monitoring that, the financial performance of each item, as well as within the assortment. We talked about adding in the inventory management department, and they would maintain the inventory levels and making sure that the partners would have the supply that is needed for those different levels. Supply chain and manufacturing, that department is responsible of managing and maintaining the supply chain, the logistics and manufacturing aspects of the business holistically. Then we discovered that they needed a marketing department, which was not identified within the case, to oversee the marketing campaigns of the company, as well as the grommets that fall into each of those categories. They would be able to specify and determine what marketing tactics are needed in order to promote, to encourage sales. Lastly, the risk management department, which will oversee any potential customer complaints, injuries, claims, and or lawsuits, which all companies need to have regardless in order to maintain and function appropriately. This slide, we're talking about in more detail the pre-2013 selection process. So with that is the discovery, and in that was when they would search for products at trade shows, which were thought to align with the company's values as well as their mission. Then they went into the evaluation process, which that is where we identified a lot of the opportunities. Their initial time frame would take anywhere between 8 to 12 weeks. And then they had a 20-item checklist, and this was very intense. And it was pretty much it seemed or appeared to be in the case that it was an all hands on deck process. With that being an area of an opportunity, that's where those creating different departments comes into play. We also considered them being able to have a 20% increase of the number of grommets that they have in inventory, and with that, it will allow for a lot of different potential or opportunities in order for profit to be made. The last is deal launch and partner support. It's the partner's ability to supply the product and marketing, and this is where they really wanted to make sure that the founder of the product was in line again with what the grommet was pertaining to.
So let's face it, at the end of the day, the Grommet is a retailer, and we feel that by implementing the 5 departments that we've referenced here, the merchandising department, the inventory management department, the supply chain and manufacturing, as well as the marketing department, it will then change the face of Grommet so that it is functioning and operating more like a retailer that you would find today. Through the reinvigorated grommet selection process from a marketing and driving sales for continued growth standpoint, we are going to recommend that the grommet begin implementing a product referral program where loyal customers will have an opportunity to submit and or encourage grommet partners to send video submissions of their new products to the merchandising team for consideration. Additionally, we are going to be recognizing or recommending to the company that the Grommet begin looking into the creation of their very own Shark Tank show on the QVC channel, whereby in real time, Grommet partners, inventors, etc., can come in and pitch their new product launches to the merchandising and leadership team at the Grommet. Lastly, we want to maximize the opportunity that has been really the backbone of their process in going to trade show events. But instead of simply scouting, we are going to leverage the newly created marketing department to draft pamphlets. We will have our own booth there where we will be passing out flyers and information regarding the referral program, the upcoming Shark Tank show, and any other new things that we have coming down the pike. At the end of the day, we feel that the word of mouth, the TV, and the continued focus on the trade shows will positively impact the sales overall.
In 2017, Ace Hardware was able to acquire a majority stake in the Grommet. With the celebration of their 10th birthday in October 2018, the Grommet is currently in a great financial business stance. The investment from Ace Hardware, the world's largest hardware and United States non-grocery retail cooperative, as well as a previous investment from Rakuten, the world's largest e-commerce retail site, the Grommet has been positioned in an upwardly mobile, online, as well as brick-and-mortar presence. The Grommet's goal is that 10% of all U.S. retail originate from independent small-scale makers within the next 5 years. Consumers are now able to have instant gratification by heading to any of the 5,000 Ace Hardware locations or the flagship Grommet store. The online presence has strengthened as well. Ace Hardware, being the well-established brand going back as far as 1924, has also established an online presence that the Grommet is able to capitalize on. With 17 distribution centers in the U.S., Ace Hardware has strengthened the Grommet's distribution chain with no additional upfront costs. With Rakuten's strong global footprint dating back to 1997, the Grommet is able to access that resource and start offering products on a global scale without adding substantial costs for joining that market. With the investments of Ace Hardware and Rakuten, 2 different online channels have been added without having to spend more for that exposure. These additional channels can offer paths to long-time online presence success. With effective changes proposed, the Grommet could actualize around a quarter of the 800% growth experienced between 2012 and 2014.
Now we're going to move into the Grommet, staying true to their mission as they are moving towards having continuous growth and profitability. As we all know, the Grommet is concerned with profitability and overall sales, but they are also extremely concerned with their consumers' value and their consumers' voice being heard, not just in their demands, but in their suggestions. The Grommet wants to empower their consumers by connecting them to the creative individuals who are supplying them with the unique offerings that they, 1, can't get enough of, and 2, can't find anywhere else. In 2010, they coined the phrase we are all privy to, citizen commerce, which is simply the belief that consumers would rather purchase from companies that not only talk about their value, but are striving to incorporate consumer value in a tangible and viewable manner. In this section, I'm just going to go through a couple of questions that are going to shed a light on what the Grommet is doing currently to be relative, to be unique, to be creative, but what they're planning on doing in the future in order to maintain that as they grow. The Grommet is unique for their online interfaces because the overall goal, as we have stated, is to offer unique products that their consumers are demanding. Even though the company strives to increase profitability, we are first and foremost wanting to focus on the need of the customer first. The unlimited product offering strategically is through the website not only gives you a variation of products that you may not have known existed, but allow you to search for the products that you specifically want. There's a specific connection to the product, to the people. As the world gets larger, it's also getting smaller. Everyone is connected through different online platforms, and having the ability to talk to the individual whom the products you are purchasing from only is going to elevate the uniqueness that the grommet has to offer. Their creative people component is empowerment on behalf of the consumer and on behalf of the creator. It is all about inclusivity. It's for the company, it's for the people, it's for the team, it's for the product. They are business to consumer and customer to creator. It is about relationships. The grommet wants to grow relationships. They are a vibrant organization, as we have seen through our research with their founders. The company's ability to never stray from their mission statement is what allows them to remain a light in the marketplace. The promotion of the stories behind the products, and more importantly, the people, will continue to make Grommet a driving force in the industry, allowing them to have unwavering focus on customers' perceived needs and demands. How can the Grommet be novel, hip, unique, and big? Can they is really the question, and we say yes with the right adjustments. Proper leverage of technology is the way to play the game. Through different online interfaces, we see that we can purchase not just through our mobile applications and through our computers. That type of purchasing power is not going to go away. It's only going to expand, and the more the grommet can implement that, the more successful they will be. Company promotion adjustments as social media continues to evolve only follows under that umbrella. And establishing a means of exclusivity for their current and potential new consumers. Everybody wants to feel a part of something. If the grommet is able to implement more exclusive membership offers to their current and then promote to their new consumers, that community feeling is only going to promote profitability in the long run. That would be capitalizing on the connection between people, product, and purpose. As we've stated, everybody wants to feel a part of the community, and the grommet cares about the value of their consumers and their consumers' feedback. What other growth options might they consider? Ty has touched on this prior with the ability with the Shark Tank Avenue, but also creation of a mobile application. Adweek, which is an online marketing strategy interface, researches and has stated through their research that over 1/3 of purchases are done on a mobile application. That's generating around $1 trillion in sales a year. If the grommet is even to make a small dent in that overall pool, they would be so much more profitable than they are now, but also they would have all of the traffic going to their website without having to implement any new marketing campaigns. Pursuit of potential partnerships would also be a great way for a growth option they may consider. There are similar platforms like Etsy that have specific, unique product offerings but don't have the storyline. If the grommet is able to adapt and exchange ideas through the partnerships with high executives at Etsy, that would only play into their profitability. This would lead into an improved interface for the grommet's creators. As we've stated, there's a deep connection between the creator and the purchase and the product. So a get to know your creator's platform, allowing for the consumers to have direct contact without a third party to the innovators, would only expand the grommet's profitability as well. Lastly would be expanding their retail opportunities through staple or specialty product offerings around Christmas selections, such as pop-up shops, shoe show, during high purchase volume seasons, would allow them to also increase profitability. So these would be just some visual aids to help kind of guide where we're going through. So we think some of their growth opportunities would be through the mobile application, potential partnerships, and retail opportunities.
Lastly, as a group, we wanted to provide some more detailed pictures of maybe what a practical standpoint of what some of these principles would include. So we went through and thought of some questions that we could answer that maybe you guys as a group are thinking in your heads already. First would be from an inventory and logistical perspective, maybe providing a program to optimize production for the suppliers of the grommets, whether there's the small companies that don't have access to certain equipment or tools. And we think that would be a great idea and something that we would look into as well. Another thing would be holding inventory versus at the grommet itself, or allow the suppliers to hold the inventory. And we think that there are definitely pros and cons to both, and we would probably look to analyze those on a case-by-case basis. There is definitely potential to advantages if grommet holds the inventory, but there might be less risk if the grommet outsources most of their products and inventory as well. Can there be too many products or SKUs? One of the things we talked about earlier is the fact that we're going to look to streamline the production process and picking different grommets that we look to provide. And we believe we'll also have, with time series analysis and life cycle analysis, opportunities to drop products off that aren't productive anymore. This is going to save us from a cost of goods sold and an overhead perspective. We also want to streamline the process in the product selection. So as we look to find products, we want to find products that will last and not be necessarily just novel or maybe just expensive, but to have a good balance of both. And so our production and our suggestions provide different options either in the novelty sector or in more staples and lasting products. We don't want to have all knockoffs, but we don't want to necessarily price people out as well, because there is a place for more novelty-based items. Another big thing is the new investment by Ace Hardware. From a perspective of getting out into different markets, we would look to maybe have a storefront or pop-up stores in Ace Hardware, similar to what you would see recently within Amazon at malls. And we could also look to provide a premium section that we could provide that would have inventory and be in person at different stores, especially seasonally around times of year when people have a tendency to buy things as gifts that would fit the product analysis within the Grommet company. From a technology basis, we definitely want to look at algorithms. The mobile app is going to provide a lot of opportunity to really integrate a user experience, whether it's maybe picking new products or videos of owners and grommet producers, and allowing people to really connect with those producers as well. So there's a lot of potential with the mobile app that we think could really be used to up the productivity of the company as a whole. We would like to thank everyone for watching our presentation. On behalf of Group A, we look forward to working with you guys in the near future.